The phone vibrated in my pocket as I reached for a box of cereal. Her name lit up the screen. My wife. "Where are you?" she asked. Her voice was tight, clipped, trembling. Aisle 7. Getting cereal with our son. Silence. Too long. Leave the cart. Leave everything. Walk calmly to the front and get out. I froze, my hand still on the box. Why? I'm not done shopping. I can't explain. Go now. Her voice cracked, panic wrapped in urgency. My son tugged at my sleeve, asking if we could still get the marshmallow cereal. I ignored him, my chest tightening, my mind pulling in two directions, obedience or suspicion. But something in her tone, it wasn't about danger. It was about secrecy. About me not seeing something. I took his hand, forced a smile, and walked out, calm, measured. But every step felt heavier than the last. That was the moment I knew. Whatever game was being played, I wasn't supposed to notice. And so, of course, I noticed. That night, she acted as though nothing had happened. Cooking, laughing, telling stories that didn't matter. But her eyes darted. Her hands shook when she poured the wine. She thought I wasn't watching. I was always watching. The call replayed in my head. Not fear, not protection. She hadn't told me to leave the store for my safety. She told me to leave because of what I might see. Who? What? I tried to dismiss it, tried to drown it under routine. But silence is fertile ground for suspicion. And suspicion is a seed that never stops growing once planted. Her phone buzzed that night. She grabbed it before I could glance. Too quick, too desperate. Work, she said. But she worked in finance. No one calls past midnight unless money is burning. I lay beside her, staring at the ceiling. My son asleep down the hall, the house breathing its steady, familiar rhythm. And yet everything inside me had shifted. That call in 7 wasn't random. It was a thread. And I would pull it until the entire fabric unraveled. I became deliberate, patient. Her schedule became mine. When she showered, I checked her phone, deleted texts, call logs, 2 clean gaps where conversations should have lived. I traced her emails, her bank statements, her browser history. Not recklessly, surgically. I moved like a surgeon dissecting rot from living tissue. But it wasn't the phone records that broke me. It was the photographs hidden in a folder buried beneath folders. A man, same smile in every picture. Same eyes she used to look at me with. Her hand in his, her lips on his. I stared at the screen until my own reflection blurred against it. Cold, silent. I ordered a DNA kit the next day for my son, for myself. Not because I doubted him. No, I already loved him as my blood, my shadow. But because betrayal rots deeper than flesh. I needed certainty. 2 weeks. That's how long it took. 2 weeks of pretending, smiling across the dinner table, holding her hand in public, tucking my son into bed as though I was quietly burning alive inside my own skin. Every day she grew bolder. Every day my mask grew colder. And when the envelope finally arrived, I opened it with steady hands. The results were brutal in their simplicity. Probability of paternity, 0. 0. The kind of number that doesn't argue, doesn't soften, doesn't negotiate. I folded the paper neatly, slid it into my jacket pocket, and waited until evening. When she came home, I placed it on the table without a word. She looked at it, confused, then terrified. Her hands shook as she opened it, eyes racing across the lines, widening, glassing with tears. Please, it's not what you think. But I said nothing. The silence did more damage than shouting ever could. She collapsed into words, fragments, excuses, please. Her voice cracked under the weight of her own lies. I just watched, cold, detached. The power had shifted. She knew it. I knew it. The next morning, I packed her suitcase, folded her clothes with care, placed them by the door. When she came into the kitchen, her eyes red and swollen, I slid the suitcase toward her. Leave. Her mouth opened, closed, searching for leverage, finding none. I can explain. I shook my head once, calm, final. This house isn't yours anymore. Neither am I. She broke then, sobs tearing through her, the sound of a soul realizing the game was over. I didn't yell. I didn't curse. I didn't strike. I just watched her unravel piece by piece until she was small enough to carry her own suitcase out the door. The door shut, and the silence that followed was the cleanest sound I had ever heard. My son sat at the table, coloring. He looked up at me, innocent, untouched by the poison that had soaked his mother's lips. I would raise him, love him, protect him. He didn't need to share my blood to be mine. As for her, she no longer existed. Not in this house, not in my thoughts, not in the future I was building. Betrayal doesn't end with fire. It ends with absence. And when she disappeared from our lives, I felt nothing but clarity. Not anger, not grief, just the quiet certainty that the truth had finally set me free. The final thought as I turned off the light that night was simple, sharp, and absolute.